what's up, everybody? Welcome to Indie Comics Review. This week I'm going to be reviewing four comic books from the past week. And man, I could have done more, but man, there were so many good books this week, I had to narrow it down to four. And also, I'm going to be announcing the winner of this week's comics giveaway, which is going to be the Shannon Maer variant of, or the trade dress variant, I should say, of Cult of Dracula, #1. So stick around to the end of the video and we'll have that drawing. But right now, let's get right to the reviews. First up is The Good Asian. And I'm not even going to try to butcher the names of the of the creators, of the writer and the artist. I just put it down below. Rather than just totally destroy their names and go through that. But The Good Asian is from Image Comics, and it takes place in 1936. Now, what a lot of people don't know is in 1936, or I should say in 1882, there was a ban on Chinese people in America. And that ban was still in effect, an immigration ban, I should say. And that ban was still in effect in 1936 when this story takes place. And when we begin the story, it's in San Francisco, and our hero is Edison Hark, a Chinese American who made police detective in Hawaii. That was the only state where it was legal. It was allowed to have the Chinese people were allowed to hold that position. And he finds himself locked up and detained in Angel Island, a place where all Asians, including Chinese, were detained indefinitely. He meets this kid who has been there 2 months, and he ends up drawing a portrait of him because Edison, turns out, knows how to draw. When it's discovered that Edison has connections, he's eventually released. Edison was raised by this rich family, and whose patriarch of that family has fallen ill recently. And it turns out that that guy has also kind of fallen for his upstairs maid as well. And this maid has turned up missing. And his son, Edison's, the boy that, you call him his brother, I guess, or his stepbrother, the boy that Edison grew up with, has brought in Edison to work on the case, to turn up the missing girl and hopefully cheer the old man up. Now, it turns out Edison has to use this, or work with this racist cop named O'Malley to find her. They interrogate some people, they get some leads along the way, and we get some glimpses of how Edison became the man he is. He talks about his love for white girls and how it gets him into trouble. Not to mention that the day-to-day discrimination that he experiences all the time. Now, I love when a comic mixes history with fiction. If you love a good hard-boiled detective story like I do, The Good Asian is going to be a good read for you. The Good Asian from Image Comics. Definitely give that a look. The next book is called Hey Kids, Comics. It's from Image Comics, and it's written and drawn by Howard Chaykin. Now, a lot of you may be familiar with Howard Chaykin from his work with the Big Two, and also he's done stuff like Black Kiss and American Flag, and more recently he's done some stuff like Satellite Sam. Now, in this one, Chaykin is doing a clear satire of the comic book industry. It's quite a scathing satire, quite frankly. And it takes place in the 1950s and the 70s, and it shows how comics affected these boys that were growing up that would eventually become comic creators. It was somebody that worked in the industry, and also it kind of shows the cutthroat nature of the business when it comes to like the men who are producing the comics. The publishers are pretty much just soulless capitalists, and the editors are just like these backstabbing egomaniacs, and the artists are just like wondering if they'll ever have a job tomorrow even. Now, the publishing houses are thinly veiled versions of EC Comics, Marvel, and DC. And there's a Frederick Wortham character in there also, the guy who wrote The Seduction of the Innocent. And he's just as despicable and slimy as the real thing. You can tell lots of work was put into just this. There's these faux comic book covers that you see. There's like a Archie type character. There's like these EC type horror type of books that are put out, and they have all these like faux uh, comic book pages or comic book covers. And you can see somebody, I guess Howard Chaykin himself, put a lot of work into doing these things. They look really, really nice mock-ups of real comics. He puts them all on the newsstands are all lined with these books and stuff like that. So it's a really good job on that. Personally having read True Believer, the Stan Lee biography or autobiography, no, it was a biography because it was written by him. True Believer and the what's it called? The real history of the true history of the Marvel universe. I forget the name of the book, but anyway, it was about the good old days of Jim Shooter and Stan when they were in charge of editing of at Marvel. Having just read those two books recently, this comic really hits home, and it kind of brings out how many people who are in charge of making these books that we love, and they really don't give a shit about the medium. They don't care about comic books. All they are just greedy capitalists, and the people who are making them, even though they're creative individuals, they're really just guys that are like in these books. In this book here, they're mostly guys. There's like maybe a one token woman, and I think one black guy, which I'm like in the 50s, which I was totally surprised to see. But you can see how it's just by Chaykin's depiction, it's just a sad job. It's like you're working working fast food or something, man. There's just no joy in the job. You would think that when I was a kid, I had this delusion that whoa, boy, it must be great to work at making comic books, and they paid this picture of the bullpen as this bunch of jolly guys joking around, and smiling in the stand and all that shit, But the reality was quite different. It was kind of like a sweatshop. But there was a comic called Sweatshop years ago. But this one is a lot more, I think, hardcore. And if you enjoyed the behind the scenes of comics and kind of seeing how the sausage is made, then check out. This is actually the second volume. There was another volume that was made a while back, but this volume here is called Profits and Loss. So, Hey Kids Comics, Profits and Loss, Volume 2 by Howard Chaykin. If you got that cynical urge to see what's going on behind the scenes, check this out. The next book is Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal. And that one is written by Garth Ennis, and it is drawn by Goran Sudzuka from AWA Comics. This begins in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt, it's easy for you to say. This begins in ancient Egypt. As it begins, Marge is disguised as an Egyptian slave girl. And her plan is to, I guess, steal all the jewels from the pharaoh's sarcophagus. Because I don't know if a lot of people realize that when the pharaohs died, they would bury them with all their riches and all their bounty and everything, and they would kill all the slaves and all the servants to make sure that even in death, that this pharaoh would have all these people serving them. Sure, and this Marjorie just did not realize that, or she didn't study history in school, but she realizes it, and she pulls off her wig, throws the disguise away, and just out of nowhere pulls out a shotgun and just starts blazing away these Egyptians. Right then, this is going to be kind of a lighthearted affair. It's going to be raw, but it's going to be lighthearted in the same sense, which is kind of new for Garth Ennis as far as I knew. It's not the Garth Ennis I know. So Marge gets out of this situation, does her time traveling thing. She has this device strapped to her thigh that she uses to teleport from time to time. And then when you look at another character, he's like a German guy, and he's also a temporal criminal. And he's using like this unfair, crazy firepower from the future to fight pirates and Vikings rather, and just steal their riches. And at some point, there's this lawman or lawwoman, as it turns out, that shows up to arrest him for temporal crimes. Who he is exactly, we don't really know, but we kind of think that this is he has some ties to Marjorie. And in fact, at some point, I think her ex does come into play in this story, and they're both temporal criminals, and they're gonna somehow intersect, and that's who this guy probably is. Now we check back in on Marjorie, and she's back at her hideout, which is like somewhere hidden in the time stream, and she's dancing in a towel in front of her partner, who is he's only like this head, kind of like from Futurama. You know, he's just a head remaining from, you know, it's all left from him remaining is his head actually. And there's some story there that's not been told where Marge hints that it's her fault that he is now just a head, and she's just like, she's kind of just taunting, I guess, like dancing around the towel, and he's like, oh God, you know, if only I was just not only a head, you know. This, like I said, this is to me it's like, it's not the Garth Ennis I remember from Preacher and from back in those days. Or maybe he's, and I don't know, I did not care for Dear Becky. I still I like some of his work. I love Preacher, but you know, that was a long time ago. But he talks about in the end where he in the back of the book where he came up with the name, which kind of has a melodious tone to it. Marjorie Finnegan, temporal criminal, and from there, the whole story just flowed from that name. He had some other ideas that he'd come up with floating around, and he just put those together and made this story. You can still hear Garth Ennis' voice coming out of the characters, but when it's coming out of a cute curvy blonde like Marjorie, then it gets a kind of a different feel to it. So it's something new, something different. Did I love this book? Not so much, but it was okay. I liked it. And would I subscribe to it? I don't know. I liked it. I got so many books that I subscribe to right now. But if I was a Garth Ennis fan, I would definitely subscribe to it, because it's showing me a little bit of maybe some new direction he might be going. But it's not a bad. It's okay. That's what I can say for it right now. And my Frank Cho cover, which I got for the C cover for the first issue, just made it for me. So Marjorie Finnegan, temporal criminal. I give it it's okay. Last book is called Eve, and it is from Boom Studios, and it's written by Victor Lavalier and drawn by Joe Mangione. Now this is a story of a little girl named Eve, who looks like she's like, as it begins, you don't really know what to make of it, because she is on what looks like a tropical island, and she's observing crabs and other creatures. And she gets a message from her dad on a walkie-talkie, and tells her to head in for dinner, pretty much. And one thing I noticed is she talks to herself, which is it's kind of I kind of identify with that, because it's kind of shows her level of loneliness. I remember myself, and I was like an only child for like the first 11 years of my life, and I was like, I didn't go out, I didn't go anything but to school and back home and do my homework, and that was it. And I kind of developed a habit of just not talking to myself like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, you know, it's going fine. But I would just say stuff out loud, because it's just kind of boring to be around and not have anyone else around, you know. So you just like, even to this day, if I'm watching a ball game or a TV show that I really like, I'll just like start saying stuff out loud, you know. My wife probably thinks I'm crazy sometimes, but it's just an old habit. So that's one thing that resonated with me, is that she talks to herself, and she actually carries on conversations with herself, which is kind of weird, but you know, hey, you know, that's it is what it is. So her dad calls her into dinner, and they live in what looks like this vault, And in this vault, and while they're eating dinner, there's like this projection of other places around the world. And she wanted to look at, she wanted to pretend that she's in New Orleans. So they projected New Orleans in the vault, and they're dining in New Orleans. At the end of the meal, the dad kind of tells her that, she has this mission that she has to go on right now. And the next thing she knows, she kind of wakes up in this pod, and she's wearing like this stasis suit of some sort, And when she wakes up, she's greeted by this bear named Wexler. And Wexler is modeled after a toy that her mom gave her before she died. And Wexler looks like a teddy bear, but Wexler is actually an android, and he's kind of like her protector. And he was designed by her dad to help her on her journey, which he explains. Turns out her journey has to do with climate change. The Earth has been severely impacted. It's a worst case scenario. It appears most of the Earth has been flooded. And but Wexler has a solution, and Eve is part of it. So this is a book that I almost didn't pick up, and I'm glad that I did, because it's probably this and Good Asian are my favorite books of the week. Some people don't want to hear the whole climate change thing. Some people don't believe it. Some people believe it and just don't want to hear it because, I'll be gone by that time anyway. But the rate it is, you never know. So, and this book is not really heavy-handed. It doesn't seem to be preachy at all, but because I was just really enjoying the story of the little girl and didn't even realize what the premise was until like halfway through the book. So this is a limited series, and if this continues to be this good, this could be a pretty good series. The author's wife is a climate writer, and he talks about it in the back of the book. And he says that once they had a son, they really thought about the repercussions of climate change, and it became more real for them. And Eve is based on that realization. So yes, Eve is a really good book. I give it definitely 2 thumbs up, and I definitely would be subbing to this book. Once again this week, there's no Artist Alley, but I am looking forward to reviewing anyone's book who cares to send it to me. And I'm going to put a link down below in fact, I'm going to put up the mailing address right here of my shipping address, where you can send a hard copy of a book that you have created, or someone that you know have created, or some book that you know of that you like reviewed. Here's my mailing address that you can send a copy of the book that you would like reviewed, and I will get around to it as soon as possible. This week, we're going to be giving away a copy of Cult of Dracula, the Shannon Maer trade dress variant. And I'm going to reach into the magic glass, where I have all the names of everyone who commented on last week's review video. Not that many in there, so it's a pretty good chance that someone will win. One thing's for sure, somebody will win. All right, shake it up real good. There we go. No messing around. All right, each end. Got one here. If I can pronounce the name this week. Yeah, and it's Debuzo 701. DBUZO 701. You are the lucky winner of the Shannon Maer Cult of Dracula #1. Cult of Dracula. And that is it for this week, folks. Be giving away another book next week. In fact, next week it will be Haha number 4. Is it number 4? No, Haha number 3. The one that just... No, Haha number 4. I got it right. The cover B. Haha number 4, cover B, will be the giveaway for next week. So there's always a chance next week, folks, if you didn't win this week. So thanks for stopping by. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you know when I'm making my next video. So until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up.